Good Wednesday morning, friends, or afternoon, or evening, or whenever you may happen to join me. For those that I may not know, I'm Reverend Jennifer Finley, our Momentum and Discipleship pastor here at First United Methodist Church in Kirksville, and this is our midweek time to take a deep breath together, perhaps inhale some coffee or some tea, to pause together and to wonder together how God is meeting us in this time, in this place, how God is meeting us in this particular season. And I was thinking this morning, as I stare out at the cold and snow, for it's a little warmer today in Kirksville, but we still have plenty of snow on the ground. I was thinking about the fact that come March, we will have been asking that question together. How is God meeting us? We will have been asking that question together for 4 years. And it got me to thinking about how that question shapes and changes us, how it influences the way we see the world when we open our eyes and look for the ways in which God is meeting us, even in the most challenging times and also in the most joyful times. So this morning, I am here with you, and I hope that you settle in for just a few moments with your tea or your coffee. I'm still drinking some of mine. And ask that wondering question. Where is God moving? Now, I acknowledge that in the deep of winter, sometimes that's a hard question to answer. In the deep of winter, it's sometimes hard to ask and to see how God is moving when we somehow feel like we are stuck in our houses, or where it feels so very hard to get out and about, where everything feels a bit more fragile and contingent than it does when the weather is different. And if you were joined Pastor Lori on Friday for her daily devotion, you also had that reminder that many of us may have had that little ping last week as this weather rolled through, that reminder of those first early days of COVID when we didn't have a chance to get out of the house and where things were contingent, where it felt like life was fragile. If you're anything like me, that may have been part of your week last week. It may still be a part of the week this week. But at least here in Kirksville, the weather's a little bit warmer. It feels a little bit easier to get out and move around. And so as I was thinking for myself about in the midst of all of that, how God is meeting me, I was thinking about an invitation I received on Sunday morning. We had worship online and here in this space on Sunday morning. This is our gathering space here at church. And one of my young friends, who isn't often here, is part of another faith community, joined us on Sunday morning. She's about 5 and is an amazing little human. And she and her mother were worshiping with us on Sunday morning. And after worship, as people were gathering in this space, she came over and tapped my arm and said, "Hey, can you come sit down?" And I looked over at this particular table and see if I can give you a little bit of a view. Not quite so much. I'm sitting at this particular table, and as she brought me over, she had put her pastry and her drink on the table in one spot. And then she had carefully set a spot for me as well and said, this is your spot. Will you sit down with me? And I did. I had plenty of other things going on at the moment. There were other things I could have been attending to, other conversations I could have been having in that moment. But this beautiful 5-year-old said, "Hey, would you come sit down with me? I prepared a spot just for you." And God met me in that moment. I was still wearing my robe and my stole, and yet I sat down at the table and we had a beautiful little conversation. And it was a beautiful pause, a reminder to me that sometimes God's movement in our lives comes in an unexpected invitation. And maybe wonder, what invitations are you finding in your lives right now? Where is God saying, "Hey, come sit down for a few moments"? Now, sometimes those invitations look like invitations to rest. "Hey, come sit down with me for a few moments. Pull up a chair. Let's chat." Now, sometimes that's you and God solo. Sometimes that comes in the guise of a wonderfully precocious 5-year-old or one of your own kids or a neighbor child or a friend or a family member that says, hey, let's go out and play in the snow. Hey, let's sit down. Hey, I've pulled up a chair. Sometimes I wonder if those invitations come in less tangible ways. I was reminded in a conversation yesterday that sometimes those invitations come in that reminder, that nudge of the Holy Spirit to say, hey, invite this in. Invite this particular season in. Invite this particular moment in, whatever this is for you. And so God showed up for me on Sunday morning in the unexpected invitation when I normally don't sit down at all very much on Sunday morning to say, come, sit, talk. I want to talk to you. I have prepared a spot for you. I wonder what those invitations look like in your life. Perhaps share that in the comments with us. I'd love to hear them. Where has God, in the guise of a 5-year-old or a friend or a family member, said, hey, pull up a chair. I'm here. Let's have some fun together. Those are the invitations that we want to say yes to. Sometimes there are invitations that are harder to say yes to. Perhaps they're the invitation to say, yes, let me welcome this season of winter and the rest, even if it's forced, that it brings. Or yes, let me say yes to the season of uncertainty. Whatever that might be for you, sometimes saying yes to those invitations is harder than we might want. And that's when we need friends and family and church family and others to come alongside us and say, yeah, it's okay to feel that nudge of the Holy Spirit. It's okay to invite the Spirit in. It's okay to say, yeah, for this moment, I'm going to sit at this table where this chair has been pulled up, and I'm going to have a conversation with God. So friends, I hope and pray that as you are staying safe and warm as you can in this season, that there are invitations like the one I experienced to come, to turn aside. With the fire going behind me, I'm reminded of Moses and the burning bush. When God said to Moses, take off your shoes, turn aside from your path for a few moments, you are on holy ground. Friends, we don't always know until the moment hits us that we are indeed on holy ground. But we are, whether it's a 5-year-old inviting us to the table, or whether it's a friend saying, hey, let's go for a walk even in the cold, or let's talk on the phone, or whatever that might look like, or even if it is simply you and God and a piece of breakfast at a table and a cup of coffee. This is holy ground, friends, and know that we tread that ground together. Go in peace.